Is Tiffany Chittenden, the former British champion, or the last British champion we had in DD2, first ever lady driver on a podium in the Rotax Euro Challenge, and she's with me in the commentary box. Did you see the little incident, Tiff, and if you did, what did you make of it?
It was a little bit of wishful thinking from Dennis Kroes. Florian had already blocked the line, so I think they're both extremely lucky that they still kept their positions, especially Kroes. I think if Florian hadn't kept his position, the warning flag might have been a little bit worse.
Legitimate move or a little bit wild?
With all the confusion, I think it was Danny Brand that actually made a move on Florian Lambert, but then coming onto the straight he did go a little bit wide, so lost a bit of traction, and now I think this is a good example of how, although the fighting's good, obviously with them all fighting, they've let Cristiano Magado get away. Maybe they could have worked a little bit together, but I think looking at these guys, that's not going to happen.
I have to say, I use the word wild, I shouldn't, but an ill-judged move?
I think you might be okay to use the term wild for this race. There are some almost crazy manoeuvres going on, and I think Florian Lambert has actually lost out from that. Whereas obviously Lambert and Dennis Kroes got away with it before. Maybe not so lucky the second time round, but again, all of this is just letting the guys ahead get away. So now Danny Brand is actually all over the back of Dennis Kroes. These guys race against each other a lot in Europe. As we saw yesterday, Kroes can make his kart quite wide, so this should be another interesting race to watch.
A nice move there from Danny Brand. Picture book, we're seeing the replay on screen now.
Yeah, that was probably the cleanest move we've seen of the race so far. Knowing Danny, he does like to play clean, so I'm guessing he's just trying to hold position now and maybe worrying about what's going to come next.
Well, let's throw the ball to Tiffany. Not sure if you saw that. I guess Dennis Kroes entitled to feel a little bit aggrieved at that.
I think Kroes had a bad exit for the corner previous to that, so almost Campbell didn't have anywhere to go, and I think he saw the gap and tried to go for it. It's a difficult corner, that one. It does tighten up a lot, so I think it'll be a close call, but I know Kroes did get a bad exit from the corner beforehand.
Top 11. Arno Booth is running 9th. Moritz Nopiez is running 11th.
Ken, I don't know if you can see, Dennis Kroes is right up behind Scott Campbell again, so it might be worth watching these guys. Campbell might have picked up some damage from hitting Kroes beforehand, but I'm sure Dennis is going to have his head down.
Martin Victorson goes into 3rd place past Scott Campbell.
I think he overshot that corner a little bit, so Campbell managed to get a slingshot back on him. So Campbell maintains the space, but there's 5 karts fighting for that 3rd position.
The Rotax Grand Finals, and here comes Scott Campbell, and his eye went too wide. Well, let's talk with our experts. Tiffany, it must have been so inviting, that gap, but hey, it flattered to deceive.
Dennis is making his kart quite wide at the moment, so he is pretty good at keeping everyone behind him. The trouble is, that makes everyone else catch up. Basically, if you aren't going for the gap, then someone else will be going for the gap on you.
What's the strategy if you feel you're not too quickly away? Do you just have to ease over? Because he did seem to throw away a lot of places for a front row start.
You kind of have to decide if you've got the run on the first place guy and you can make it round. But you can sometimes lose more positions by trying to get in when you don't have the position. But I think he did look like he bogged down and didn't have the speed, and he did go back quite far. Obviously with these guys, they also change up on the line as well, so maybe he just made the gear change at the wrong time.
How do you prize a mistake, a driver error, if you're Jari Huttinen?
I think when you're behind the lead guy, it's always easier to break that little bit later. Use him as a benchmark. Obviously it's harder to lead. Ouellette does look like he has that little bit extra, but yeah, all you can do is just keep being there every time. He just had a look around on the straight, so he does know how close he is. I think last time he gave him a little bit of a love tap, so he knew he was there.
I haven't seen it lose anybody a place, but I guess that's not something you welcome as a driver.
No, you definitely do feel it, especially if your seat isn't as well fitted as it normally is, obviously because you're given the seats here, but it can, in a way, it does give you a few more revs as you hit the bump. Sometimes it can help you if you are struggling for revs at the end of the straight. It gives the track a bit of character, which we like too.
And he now leads by 0.14 of a second from Eugene Britz and Jason Pringle.
And I think we have an accident on the infield, which means we do have the slow board, so drivers will basically, the first position guy will be taking the role of a pace guy, if you like, so he'll be slowing them all back up and no one should be overtaken, although sometimes you might see some sneaky ones trying to.
Yes, the equivalent of Formula One safety car is the issue we have now with us, and I have to say it's looked a, I didn't really see, but it looked a very disciplined engagement of that. Drivers responding more or less immediately.
Yeah, I think that's one of the times it's worked a bit more successfully. Sometimes, obviously, if one guy sees it and the rest don't, it can cause quite a few problems.
Well, another word with Tiff. Miko Laiho in control or under serious threat from Jason Pringle? How do you read it?
I'd say probably serious threat. I think you're not safe until you've got at least a couple of kart lengths there. But again, then he only has to worry about one person, whereas Jason Pringle, obviously, he has to worry about a big long line of them behind him. So he has to know that if he does want to make a move, that he's not going to lose a whole lot of places afterwards. So I'd rather be in Miko Laiho's position than Jason Pringle's probably.
And as if to illustrate your point, Jason Pringle just looking over his shoulder. Tiff, the replay.
Unlike the previous heat, there's been some really good clean moves here. So I think these guys are working quite well together. They're not holding each other up, but however, it's probably a line of 10 of them now.
Just a case of Scott Campbell not making a mistake now?
For sure, yeah. I think the other guys have tripped over themselves, so all Scott has to do is, obviously on the last lap, it's a decision. You either try and cover the line and you slow yourself down a little bit, or I think Scott can afford to do his normal line, not have to worry about cover the line too much. Also, Matheus in second position has got a bit of clear air himself. I think the guy who's probably worrying the most is Guy Panzart in third place. He's got 4 karts behind him, and maybe into the second to last corner he's going to have to brake late and cover the line, but he didn't cover it well enough.
Well, exactly as predicted by Tiffany Chittenden, that's what happened. Just saw in my late corner of my eye that move. Good move by Zenderuva.
It was a clean move, and I think he had a bad first couple of laps, so I think he needs to regroup and try and get back of Pierre-Luc so he doesn't get too far away. Again, these guys don't want to fight too much or Pierre-Luc will get away, and obviously he hasn't had the speed he had here in 07, as in that much of an advantage over the other guys, so if they work together for a few laps, maybe they can get onto the back of him.
Well, Tiffany Chittenden not just telling you an opinion, she's been there. She was racing the DD2 World Final here in 2007.
And as we speak, Nicholas Latifi's just made a move for first, so he's just overtaken Mark Murray. They still have a considerable distance over the third place guys, so if Mark Murray can slot back in, then he can start to plan his move back.
And we have a look again at that passing move, Tiff.
Yes, Ken, I think here again he's spent a couple of laps just lining them up, seeing where almost keeping quiet. Then Latifi get comfortable and then just pull out again a nice clean move, and I think that corner is going to be where we see a lot of action this week. But again, now Latifi's right back on him, and probably he's going to have another look at this corner. Yeah, there you go. Again, cleanly, but straight back up the inside, and now you can see again the third place guy is right up behind them. He's going to maybe have a sleepless night, and as you can see on the replay, it was a clean move, but I think that move started about 2 laps previously when Chung started hitting some curbs and I think almost panicking.